Alright, so welcome back. After releasing their debut LP in 1984, Lääz Rockit comes back in 1985 to release their follow-up titled No Stranger to Danger, which is produced by Marky Whitaker, which of course helped produce Exodus, Bonded by Blood, Pleasure of the Flesh, Metallica's Ride the Lightning, even produced the tracks Am I Evil and Blitzkrieg, the covers that Metallica did. So, with that, he produces No Stranger to Danger, and what we get from this album is a little different from the City's Gonna Burn album. Now, I will come and say that I think this album gets a lot of shit for no reason at times. I think it's a bit of an underappreciated album. Sure, there might be some hair metal moments on this one. Yes, I'm definitely coming out and say before I even go into the album that there are some tendency to be kind of hair metal moments, but I think the word hair metal is kind of the worst tag I think to give this album. I think if it's like they can't just seem to kind of come up with anything else to kind of tag this album. They can't just say that it sounds a little like Accept, because there are some Accept influences on this album. It's very Teutonic sounding in a way, kind of like similar to Balls to the Wall. It's a very more melodic album, and I won't say that this is a pure hair metal album. And again, people who throw that are just fucking dumbasses, I shall say. I think they just they're just I don't know what else that they could come up with. It's like it doesn't sound too much. It doesn't sound like Motley Crue. It doesn't sound like Rat. If anything, this is more closer to maybe like the real heavier stuff from Dokken, and of course like Obsession. It's definitely similar to that and few other U.S. power metal bands than fucking Motley Crue or Rat or some other or White Lion. It's not really similar to that, so you gotta find something else to compare this album to, guys. You guys just have no fucking, imagination or anything. You can't just fucking do anything. So, yes, of course that was a jab at the Metal Archives. And even maybe people on Nuclear War now, I don't know. So, let's kind of kick off with Dreams Die Hard, which, of course, this might indicate that this might be some sort of hair metal-esque album, because it does start off with like sort of like kind of your 80s typical sound a bit with with a little bit of guitar noodling almost kind of in there before it does with the sound of explosion before breaking into the track as well, which of course the song is very melodic, but it's also very heavy. And it's very much at times very much reminds me a lot of Obsession on this album, and with this song as well. It's just got a very good, vibe to it. I really dig the music, and this was the first album I actually heard by Lääz Rockit. Not the album that really introduced me. I will get to that. But this is definitely starts off very solid with I've Got Time, which is still pretty much heavy, but yet still very melodic as well, with Town to Town, which, of course, this might be indicating a little bit of hair a bit because of the lyrics, but the track, I think, at times can indicate them touring or whatever from, different town, whatever, so some ways. But the album does take a bit of a turn with track number 4, which is Backbreaker. Now, with the title like that, what is this track going to sound? It's pretty much taken from a wrestling move, but this track is a head banger. This is definitely kind of continuing the sound from City's Gonna Burn with like Forced to Fight and Take No Prisoners. This is just, even at times, very even similar to the likes of Exodus. This is almost a thrash metal song. It's just, this is a fucking great track off of here. It is. Of course, we got a Standalone, which of course kind of starts a very melodic again. A little bit more close to Obsession in some ways as well, but it's still a great track, melodic. But let's also kind of talk about Spread from the Fire. Now this one, I definitely can't say it's very melodic, but this is not a ballad in many ways. It kind of wants to go into ballad territories, but it isn't. It's more closer to the likes of Streets of Berlin or Tales of Mystery. Of course, Streets of Berlin being by Wild Dogs and Tales of Mystery being by Savage Grace. It's very much similar to that, where it's a little more emotional, if anything. It's a very emotional track that still has a really good riff, still have very good rock and, vibe to it. Or even like, For the Love of Money by Obsession. It's just very similar to their Hatred Unto Death by Obsession. It's just very similar to that. It's not a ballad at all means. If anything, it kind of indicates to what type of songs we also would write on the next album. So it's definitely not a ballad. Guys, come up with something else that isn't a ballad. Just because of it has a bit of a soft sort of very emotional or melodic sort of tinge to it that might indicate that it's a ballad, doesn't mean that it's going to end up being a ballad. It's not like fucking Home Sweet Home. Jeez. One of the reasons why I have a problem with some metalheads nowadays is like they just can't seem to find anything else to call it. Let's also get to Off the Deep End, which of course kind of continues the sound of Standalone and Town to Town and so forth. Tonight's Alive. But again, even continues the sound of it. So it gets a little monotonous in some ways, but still very enjoyable. But let's get to the last track, I shall say. Next to Backbreaker, Wrecking Machine, which starts off with the sounds of Godzilla. Yes, fucking Godzilla. So, and of course, this track pretty much embodies Godzilla anyway. So, and of course, this is very much another thrasher of a track. Very much kind of similar to Backbreaker as well, but it's just even more thrashy. It just kind of indicates for what they really would take with the next album and the album before, and just, their sound in general. Definitely kind of indicates that power metal / thrash metal sound with some of this song, especially Backbreaker. So you definitely have a bit of almost a well-rounded album. But so overall, good track and good album in many ways. It's not really a crappy album. Probably not. It's kind of up there as one of my favorites from this band. It's definitely got some catchy moments. I think if I really would rate it, because I've seen some people say that it's just a very stupid album. That's just too cheesy. Okay, cheesy. Not to me, to be quite honest, I don't mind some cheese in some ways, but if you're going to kind of tag the cheese, that means you're kind of putting it next to stuff by Keel and any other very cheesy hair metal bands of the time. Which, of course, speaking of Ron Keel, I forgot to mention that he actually did backing vocals on City's Gonna Burn. But that doesn't mean that Lääz Rockit went into Keel territory on this album. Hell no. So, if anything, this is more serious than compared to your Keel album. So, with that, after this, of course, their sound would change. It still would be very much power metal / thrash metal, but it'll be more aggressive. So, with that, if you have heard No Stranger to Danger, what are your thoughts? And if you have any thoughts, post your comments down below. So, this is Thrasher saying, I am out. And I'll see you on the other side.